All right. This evening, we're going to do a half up, half down sew in ponytail. So this back is going to, we're going to braid that down and then do a sleek ponytail at the top. We've already shampooed, conditioned. Her hair is extremely fine, so we just went ahead and let her dry under the dryer because I wanted a little bit of extra texture. Um, and if I would have blown it dry, it would have been a little bit more fine than I wanted to. So while I set her under the dryer, I went ahead and molded her down with um, great evening, great evening. Thanks for tuning in. So I just went ahead and molded her down with mousse. And I'll show you the mousse that I used. Yes. So we molded her down with rosemary styling foam. Um, and so, yeah. So what we're going to go ahead and do is braid this down in the front. Are you doing any kind of bang? And we'll add a little bit of Design Essentials Shea Butter Moisture Lock to the back, and that's just going to give her some moisture here, because remember, we're about to braid this down. I don't really want any heavy products. Her hair is fine, which it doesn't seem as fine because we let it dry under the sit under dryer. We're going to be using some hair that she brought in today that I haven't used before. So I can't give you any recommendations on it. However, we will be using body wave hair. You can find body wave hair on my website at curlygirlcoach.com. Please, please, please don't forget to hit that like button for me, subscribe, share with anyone that you think this video might be helpful for. So if you have any questions about what I'm doing, be sure to ask me in the comments and let's get to it. So this back section, we're just gonna braid it going straight down, okay? And with these straight down braids, you're not gonna really need to, they don't have to be huge, but from the top of the head, they're going to be curved, right? So we're gonna start from this middle section and go out, side, and then this first braid is going to go toward the back of her head as like an anchor. And then it'll connect to the braids on the other side. Now, what you want to make sure that you're doing when you are cornrowing the hair for a style like this is you want everything to connect. So it's going to be like one single braid. The braids don't have to be extremely small. They're not going to be small at all. So we've already applied our moisture lock, and let's start cornrowing. For those who don't know how to cornrow, we just simply start with 3 pieces of hair and pick up extra hair as we're going down. After I finish cornrowing her hair down, then we will apply some oil to her scalp. The oil that we're going to use today is biotin and castor oil. It's a little heavy, but because it's going to be up under this braided portion, it's really not going to matter. Okay. Hi, yes. So we are doing a half up, half down sew in. So at the top, it is going to be a ponytail. And down for me. So at the top, it will be a ponytail. And then at the back, it will be loose hair down, okay? So the back hair will be sewn in, so it'll stay a little longer. So we're just braiding her natural hair down, and then we will attach the extensions by sewing them on top of the braids. So this is just the foundation, and all of the braids are gonna go in a straight back pattern. Okay, so that's our first braid, down from the top and around to the side. Notice each braid is probably about 3/4 of an inch, and how big you want those braids to be is definitely based on the density of the person's hair. Her hair is not dense at all, so we can have slightly larger sections. We've already put our moisture lock on, and then we detangled before she went under the dryer, but because she has fine hair, we wanted to allow it to dry under the dryer and not use a blow dryer, because using a blow dryer would make the hair a little bit finer, and we don't want that. When you have braids, you want them to be sturdy, and you want to have a good foundation to be able to attach the extensions on top of. And I'll show you, we're going to be using 2 bundles of, we're going to be using 2 bundles of body wave hair. Thank you so much. I've been braiding since, oh goodness, probably, I've been cornrowing since probably the 6th grade maybe. But I'll show you how to attach the bundles on top of the sew-in extensions. So you see, because each braid is going to connect to the next one, we want to braid it kind of far down. So what's going to happen is when you have this piece, it's going to go up and connect to the next one. Okay, so come down and part it and braid. And I'm going to show you how to connect that in just a second. Remember, I'm still going to detangle it again, just so when we're braiding, we can easily get through the hair. Start from the top, you take those 3 pieces and keep on braiding down. Now, it's going to be based on how big each piece, or how long each piece is. So I'm going to stop here, and you see this finger? Lift it up, and this braid here, bring it up and connect it to the next piece. Put it in with the hair that I'm already braiding, and keep braiding down. That way, we're not going to have a lot of loose pieces, right? Because we want everything to be seamlessly connected. Okay. Seamlessly connected while we're doing her sew-in install. I'm not braiding extremely tight. You want to make sure that you're not pulling those hair follicles, but that it is tight enough that the foundation is sturdy. So it really doesn't matter. Some people like to do straight back braids at this stage in the process, and some people like to do horizontal S-shaped braids, which, you know, I think this is one of those things, to each their own, whatever works best for you, work it. But the biggest thing is you're going to want to make sure that the foundation is sturdy and the braids are neat, right? And that when you're sewing the hair in, that you follow a specific pattern so that you're not able to see the tracks. Now, thank you, I appreciate it, bless you. So this braid on this side, we're going to braid down, and we're going to connect it. Let's see if y'all can see that. We're going to connect it with the braid at the bottom. Now remember, this is going to be half up, half down. So what you see in the front here that I had clipped away, that's going to be a ponytail. Okay, so we're just going to slick that up. First, we're going to flat iron it so it's nice and sleek and it matches the hair in the back. But here, flip this up so maybe you can see. Here, this braid at the bottom, we're going to connect it with this braid here. I hope that makes sense. We connect it in, and we keep on braiding. So when it's time for her to take this out, and she removes all of her extensions, what's going to happen is she will start from the very center braid, and you'll see that center braid will have multiple braids attached to it. And as she takes a loose each braid, the next braid will come out. So I work my way from side to side and stop in the middle, because the very center braid will have braids attached to it from both sides. So I always go from one side to the other and then stop in the middle. We'll keep on braiding. So last night when we were live, we were talking about protective styles. And I think protective styles like this one, and well, for those who don't know, a protective style is just anything that's going to protect your hair. Your hair is going to be braided, twisted, some type of way that you are not manipulating your hair. Right, like, so this style will last. You'll be able to shampoo it while it's in, but her hair will be braided. She'll be able to oil it, whatever she needs to do, but it won't be as much manipulation to her natural hair. Oh yeah, practice makes perfect, right? Like when I started braiding, I definitely didn't braid as fast. I didn't know what I was doing as much, but practicing on yourself, on other people, makes it that much easier to learn how to braid. Just starting with those 3 pieces at the top, and as you work your way down, you're just picking up hair, and then you get that cornrow. So yeah, protective styles can be very helpful in your journey for hair growth. But of course, you want to make sure that you're still taking care of the hair underneath, right? Oiling it, moisturizing it, shampooing it. You can still do all of those things while you have those protective styles in. And because this is a half up, half down situation, you see it's not as many braids. It's only the back of her head. It hasn't taken me very long. What, 15 minutes? Oh, they grip. Yeah. Yeah. How to hold your hands. That can be challenging. And especially if you know, maybe watching people that are left-handed versus right-handed. I pinch the hair in between my thumb and my pointer finger. And then I am using my pointer finger to grip more hair. For this last braid, I'm going to pick up the braid from the left, add it to the middle, pick up the braid from the right, add it to the middle, and continue to braid down. And you notice this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cornrows. So they're not super tiny. Some people like to do a quick weave method after this and glue this in, but today we are not going to do that. If you decide at this point that you want to do a quick weave, what you would need to do is cover this up, protect it by using a stocking cap and some adhesive protection like Morning Glory or a product like that. And then you can glue right on top so that when it's time to take it out, it will all just wash out and you don't have glue directly on your natural hair. You don't want that. For her scalp today, we're going to use Design Essentials biotin and black castor oil. You can find it on my website at curlygirlcoach.com, and we'll just go through and oil that scalp. Everywhere that her scalp is exposed here. And I don't oil beforehand just because it can make it a little bit more difficult to grip the hair if it's too oily or has too much products on it. So I generally oil after. We take our crochet hook. It does need practice. It does need practice. And so when you take your crochet hook, you want to make sure the crochet hook is open, right? So go down and attach the braid inside the crochet hook, close it, and pull it upward. The only thing that we're doing here is that last braid, we are making it so you don't see it. When she takes this out, she's just going to find the middle braid and gently pull. And once she gently pulls this middle braid, that tail of the braid will come out. Okay? So now we are simply going to sew her hair in. When I'm doing the sew in, I like to go ahead and pre-thread my needles. I use my mannequin head and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 needles already threaded, so I can seamlessly go through from one to the next and sew it in. I put it on my mannequin stand, and let's grab some hair. I have the hair drying in the dryer because sometimes your hair has a band on it And when it has a band, it can leave a crease. And I don't like that crease. So I wet it and put it in the dryer. I also recommend to go ahead and shampoo, wash your bundles, okay? Because you just don't know where they've come from, what happened to them. We're gonna keep this hair doubled because we'll easily be able to get through the back of her head. So because we're keeping it doubled, I'm gonna show you how I put it together. So you see these two pieces, the weft is already doubled. Make sure it stays straight, fold it like a blanket. And I like to use curved needles, right? Some people like other ones. You can use a straight needle if you like that. I find it easier to use the curved ones. And the two end pieces, I just take the needle and go through the weft. My hands are oily. Let me wipe them off. Go through the weft, if I can do that. There we go. Okay, and there we go. So now we go through that weft and pull all the way through. My needles are knotted on the ends. Ooh, it's not trying to cooperate. This is my first time using this brand, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so now we've got the hair attached to the needle, and we're gonna start sewing her hair in a U-shaped pattern. So we're gonna start here and go up like a smiley face. I hope that makes sense. So this first needle, this first track, we're going to place it behind the ear, and we're going to go underneath the braid. Okay? So we're going to go under the braid and pull through. Boom. Now, I'm trying to do it so y'all can see. Now we're going to go underneath the track, not through the weft. And the weft is just the hard part of the track that the hair is on. So we're only going to go through the weft when we're starting. Okay? When we're starting a part. Now with this part, we're going underneath the braid again. And remember, it's going to be like a smiley face. So head down for me. Underneath the braid, and this loop, go through the loop and come down. Underneath the braid and loop through. And what's happening is you're creating like an anchor when you're sewing. So you notice every time I sew, I'm taking the other part of the needle and going behind, the thread is going behind the needle. So in, and then that thread will go behind it. I hope y'all see that. Go in, thread will go behind it. And I'm going underneath the braid here. And I can use my other hand to hold the hair in place to go where I want it to go. But some people use a clip, and that's okay. You can also use a clip. So now I'm gonna, because it's doubled, I'm gonna drop the piece closest to me and only work with the piece in the back. Okay? And sew that in till we get to the ear. Once we get to the ear, go underneath, wrap the thread around the needle 3 times, pull it, and that's just gonna create a knot so it's in place. Then we flip the track on top of the braid, flip it all on top of the braid, and we're gonna go the opposite direction. Now, we're gonna wanna make sure we use this U pattern because we want the hair to go toward her face. Because when you have hair, it's naturally going to fall coming toward you, so you want to do that. And now remember, I went underneath the weft, I'm sorry, underneath the braid before. Now I'm going on top of the braid. And I'm still doubling. I still have both pieces of the hair, both pieces of the track in my hand. When you're finishing with a thread that's about to be done, you just put it through the hair, wrap the thread around 3 times, and pull it. That's gonna create a knot. And then I love to use my little nippers, and then I just cut right here and get my new piece of thread. When I go through the new piece, and you see how just easy that is just to go and grab a new piece of thread. At the knot, open it up to make a hole and put the needle through the hole. So it's creating a loop. So the hair is not just gonna go through. It just kind of gives it a little anchor. As we're sewing, I'm trying to do this so y'all can see. So as we're sewing it down, we're gonna continue to move up this smiley face. And when you're ready to flip to go to the next space, you're going to let go of the piece of track closest to you and only work with the piece of track furthest away from you. Go in, create that knot by looping it around, and then you flip both of the tracks back. If it feels like the track is too hard, you just use your flat iron and heat up that track. And heating up the track will make it easier to fold and be flatter. So that's what we're gonna do. Heat it up, flip it down, and continue to sew. Now make sure when you're sewing, because of course these needles can be sharp. You don't want to accidentally stab yourself or the person whose hair you're sewing. So be careful that you're not getting anybody's scalp. And then we're just going to go down and around to the other side. So for a minute, we're just going to keep doing that same pattern. You know, I was saying you can sometimes use a clip. This is how you do that. Put that clip in place to where you know you want it. The hair's in place. And then you can just easily sew that hair in. And then this U pattern, remember I told you you can braid the hair down however you want to. There's no right or wrong way to do that. But the U pattern, when you're sewing it in, just allows you not to be able to see the tracks on the edges. And you notice I'm not cutting the weft at all. And what that does is when you cut the weft of the track, it just increases shedding. So if at all possible, sometimes you just have to cut it. But if at all possible, don't. Just flip it. And remember, once you get to the place where you're ready to flip, you only deal with the single track and not the double. And that's just because it's gonna make flipping the track easier and flatter. So around the needle 3 times, make that knot, and flip over. And let's keep on sewing. This doesn't take nearly as long as your traditional sew-in because we're just bypassing a lot of the steps that you would have. So if you're interested in learning how to sew your hair in, this is a good way to start because you don't really have to consider oh yeah, it is. I used to have my clients thread needles for me a long time ago. So I would only have 2 needles, and the person whose hair I was sewing in, I would use one needle and they would sew in the other one. Then I noticed, oh, this is so much easier if, you know, my client can relax, they can come and do nothing, which they should be able to do, you know, and I just thread everything. Now sometimes I don't thread enough needles, which is okay, but it just allows me to keep on sewing easily without having to stop and thread a needle, because the process can be long enough without threading a needle. So I just like to make it easier for myself and more comfortable for my clients. I wish I could say I thought of the idea, but I'm sure I saw another stylist do it years ago. And you see how the side is falling? You cannot see any of those tracks on the side because each row is falling on top of the previous one. I'm so glad the advice is helpful. So when you flip that track, remember, if it's too thick, don't try to just sew it down. Take that flat iron and heat the track up. And what's going to happen is it will thin out and allow you to flip the track without having to cut it or without it being too bulky. So another thing that you can do that we did not do is some people like to add nets. Okay? Now, what a net will do and where it will go is you would just use the net to cover all of the braids. That is going to reduce tension to the scalp. And for people with more sparse hair and less surface area, sometimes that can be beneficial because it gives you more places to sew, right? Like, you don't have to do that. Some people like them, some people don't. When you don't have them, you can get to the scalp a little bit more. But when you do have them, The sew-in is just that much more sturdy, and to me, it lasts a little bit longer. But this is just a half up, half down. So, you know, so remember, make sure you flip both of those tracks and go the opposite direction. This is feeling a little bit hard, so I'm just gonna heat it on up. You have to be careful when you do heat it up, because remember, it's gonna be very hot from the flat iron, and then it's touching the person's head, their scalp. So bend it, but make sure make sure it's cool enough to the touch before you just put it on the person's scalp, because you don't want to cause any trauma to the scalp. You don't want to burn the scalp at all. And just go around. Are we curling this or are you wearing it straight? Is it like this? I can't. We're finished with this needle. We make that knot and go to the next one. Uh-oh, I'm tangled. Oh, you've never seen anybody do this? Well, welcome. I actually started sewing my own hair in high school. Of course, there are a lot of things that I do absolutely differently since then, because I've been out of high school for 20 years at least. So now that we're getting close to the top of the sides, we're not going to stop this pattern until we actually reach the top. But in a second, we're just going to fill in the middle, right? Heat up that weft. Make sure it's cool enough to the touch. I was thinking we would be able to only use one bundle in the back, but we may need more than one, which is okay, because we have it. Now, a lot of times when people do this using adhesive, they do cut the tracks. They cut the wefts, but some people are able to reuse the hair afterwards. But once you have adhesive on the tracks, now I have seen people reuse. I haven't figured out what they're doing to be able to reuse them, but some people do. So if you know about that, please share the secrets. And you see, as I'm going up, it's just less and less surface area in this horseshoe part. I'm going to use my clip. So we sew it down. There are a lot of different methods to sew hair in, and there are a lot of innovative people. So it's great seeing, the different things that people come up with. we're at the end of this track. Now, remember we were doubling all this, but because we were doubling it, it's thicker. So for this inside part, we're not going to double it at all. We're just going to do single because we want this top part to be a little bit flatter. Because we still have needle left, we're going to go back down to where we're about to sew. So we have this horseshoe situation, and we're just going to sew these last parts from side to side. This is 18 inches, and this is 16 inches. So we just unravel the whole thing. And you notice as I'm unraveling, I'm just kind of pulling it through. And this time, instead of putting it together, we're gonna use it as one long track. Now, she is loving the body wave texture, so we're just gonna wear it like that after we do the ponytail. But still, we're gonna go through the weft at the bottom and sew it in. Same steps as before, but we're just going side to side. When we start, we give it a little knot, and that's just for extra security. Now, the tracks don't have to be extremely close together when you do this. But the closer they are together, the fuller it will be. So you flip that to the next side. I'm going to use my clip and clip it in place. This seems like the 18 right here. And keep on sewing. We're about to be done with this. Needle, knot it, cut it, and on to the next. We got our piece. Remember, we pull it through the loop. Actually, this is not knotted. Easy way to knot your needle is knot your thread, put it around your finger, and roll it with my finger. If I were doing my own hair, I might lick it, but it's somebody else's, so we're not gonna do that. So you just put it around your finger, roll it, and there's your knot. Again, put it around your finger, roll it, and there's your knot. Okay. So keep on sewing. We'll probably take a little piece, the smallest piece ever of her natural hair to hide the track at the very top. And remember, we're just flipping it side to side. We haven't cut any of these tracks. When we finish, we will have to cut it because we won't need all of this track. But we're going to use the rest of it for her ponytail. So for the ponytail, what we're going to do is, to make sure it's sleek, we will use our flat iron flat iron it, and then use the Got To Be glue holding spray and freeze it in place. I hope you all can follow what I'm doing. I'm trying to get out of the way so you can kind of see what's happening. And again, you're just gonna flip it to the next side. You might see me holding the flip track down in place, and I usually hold it down with my finger while I'm sewing it down, and that's just to reinforce that area and keep it flat down. There's so many different methods again to do this, but this is my method, and hopefully some of my tips have been helpful to you or someone you know. So please like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, your enemies, your family, friends. This might be our last row here. Oh, maybe 2 more rows. Flip it. No, this will be the last one. And then we'll just use a small piece of her natural hair above it to cover that top track. I've seen a lot of different methods to cover. Some people glue a track upside down, like some people crochet it in. I've seen a lot of different things, but we're gonna keep it simple today. And we're just gonna use some of our hair and cover it up. Because we want it to be undetectable, you know? You don't want people to say, is that her hair? Or no? Okay. So again, when we close it up, wrap that thread around the needle 3 times and cut. And I like to use little nippers to cut as well because they cut the tracks pretty seamlessly without too much shedding. So we're just gonna cut that track close to where we finished sewing. And we're finished with the back. You all see that? Okay, so now you see this portion here. We're just gonna take a small slither of her hair and flat iron it down. My favorite flat iron is on the way to the upper room, but we're gonna use it until it's done, unless I can get it fixed. Maybe I have to use my Babyliss. I think we'll use the Babyliss. We are going to go through and blow dry it. Because we're blow drying, we're going to use Design Essentials Silk Essentials Thermal Strengthening Serum as a heat protectant. And we'll use 2 squirts of it, emulsify in your hands, and put it all over the top portion of the hair. Okay. And we'll just blow dry that out. If you've seen my videos or my lives before, you know I use wax stick for the edges. And what the wax stick simply does, it's like a curling wax, but in stick form. And that just really helps to lay those edges down and to have them nice and sleek. But the key is, especially for naturally curly hair, you're going to want to apply heat after. So I'll be using my 1-inch pencil flat iron, and we will go through and hit those edges. I'm not typically a fan of, heavy hair, but in this case, I apply a little bit more wax than I even normally would, because we want the ponytail to be nice and sleek, laid down. And I just pinch those edges and go through and flat iron. Now remember, because it's a curling wax that you're using, it is, oh, thank you so much. Because it's a curling wax that you're using, the hair is gonna get hot. Okay, so don't be surprised and don't burn yourself. So I'm just gonna kind of part this off, because I like control. Like, I like to be able to control the hair. And when it's just all in one space, I have difficulty doing that. So I still kind of pseudo part it off with the sides. This is the piece that I'll leave to cover. I'm using Influence S3 spray to spray on her natural hair. And I'm also using a carbon comb. So we're just gonna flat iron that to cover that top track. Okay. Now her ponytail is gonna sit right here on top anyway, so it's not gonna be a huge deal. But let's go ahead and flat iron these sides. And I love the S3 spray. Remember, you can find that on curlygirlcoach.com. I love the S3 spray because it just really gives the hair a nice shine, a nice sleekness to it. And then I just chase it with my carbon comb. And of course, you want to use a carbon comb because when you're using hot tools, if you don't, it will melt. So you notice I'm just going through the hair one time, because that's enough. All we want to do is straighten that hair out. Like when we're doing a sleek ponytail, you want to do that and straighten the hair first. When we're doing something a little bit more textured and curly, you can skip this step and just, while it's wet, use gel or any other type of waxy mold, edge control to mold it down. This top piece, I'm really gonna flat iron it going backward, because you wanna go ahead and flat iron the hair and get those roots close to the direction that they'll be going anyway, right? Like we're flat ironing the sides and the top in different directions, because we just want to make our job that much easier when we are molding it down. And we're just going to use a holding spray. I like the holding spray. It's real quick. It's going to keep the hair in place very quickly. As far as dry time, with gels, you have to put it under the dryer, mold it down, wait for it to dry. With gel, you don't have all that. Let's do this little section. Aw, thank you. Thank you so much. I love watching hair videos too, actually. I think it gives you, well, for me, it just gives me ideas on, ooh, I think I'm gonna try that next. So, yeah. And everybody does something a little bit differently, which is really nice. Because with hair, it's kind of like math. You know, 1 plus 3 is 4, 0 plus 4 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. You get the same result, but sometimes you don't take the same path to get there. So, which is a beautiful thing, because we're all different and we all think differently. So we'll just continue to go through. This is a relatively quick style. We're here in Greensboro, North Carolina, where it's a big weekend for us. It's homecoming. So it's been busy, busy, busy in the salon. I know everybody's coming from different places, and you may not be familiar, but it's serious around here. So we're just gonna take these sides and mold it up, okay? So I'll do that, turn this way for a second. Making sure we're only grabbing the loose hair, right? I'm gonna turn her back around in a second. So even before I put holding spray on, you see it's pretty sleek already. Sorry. So a lot of times I'll do it in different sections, but here I don't think I am. Let me just clip that in place. And I'm using the Got to Be Glued Freeze Holding Spray. So this, I don't know, people, the video that went viral with the lady using Gorilla Glue, please don't use Gorilla Glue. It is not the same thing. She didn't have the Got to Be Glue, which is what I'm using. And it's the reason why it's called Got to Be Glue is the hold is so strong, they're comparing it to glue, not to use glue instead. So, yes, Got to Be Glue Holding Spray. And we're literally just going to, spray it on her edges. And wherever my comb is, over here. Smooth it in place. The thing about it is it's still workable until you put that blow dryer on it. Once you put the blow dryer on it, it's pretty much is where it's gonna be. Okay? So then use that blow dryer. Smooth it and dry it in place. I'm just gonna do that with this front section and the side section, okay? And then we're gonna do her ponytail, and we're gonna extend this ponytail as well. Some of you may have saw my video where I did an extended slick ponytail, sleek ponytail. I did a live a couple weeks ago. on that, and you can watch that. This is the same steps, but it's a hot ponytail. So I'm gonna go ahead um, and put it in a ponytail. We're gonna use our bow. And put it in the ponytail. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Please hit that like button, subscribe for me. We haven't blow dried this down, so we're gonna do that. Okay, when I have the blow dryer straight against her scalp, it's on cool, okay? So just to let you know, it's not burning her scalp or anything like that. So for this part, we are just going to put her natural hair from this ponytail in a braid. Just a regular 3-strand braid, and then I will put a little rubber band on the end. You could also use a twist if you wanted to, but to me, a braid is a little bit sturdier because we'll be sewing through this braid, and hopefully it's not longer than her hair that's down in the back. And let's go ahead and lay down your edges. So we're gonna take a disposable wrap strip and go around here. I'll break it first. These are disposable. You get rid of them afterwards. Remember how we went through the weft of the track? That's what we're gonna do with our needle. I still have some more thread, and we're just gonna go through the weft of the track again. Ouch. Like so, and start by going through the braid with the needle. Okay. So as we go, we are going to sew the ponytail to her braid. Okay. Now this does not have to be extremely hard, close together. You are really just making sure the ponytail does not fall off. Okay. The biggest thing is make sure the thread is outside the weft, and then you wrap it. Wrap it around. We're gonna go around twice. and sew. Okay? You're not going through the tracks, you are going around them and through the braid. Okay? Be sure the thread is outside of the braid, and as you go around, thank you, let's move this. And as you go around in a circle, go up the braid. Okay? Go around a couple times, and so that just keeps it in place. When I was doing the other ponytail video, I was telling people about what can happen if you don't sew it down. I actually had a client who got her ponytail on, and it was really popular at the time for people to get glue the tracks around the ponytail. But you know, people would put the wrap strips, papers around the hair to protect it from the glue, and they would just glue it down. Well, I used this method to put somebody's ponytail on, and unfortunately the client's entire ponytail slipped right off, and I was mortified. So, you know, I do take pride in my work, so things like that happen sometimes. I did a wedding a couple weeks ago, and the bridesmaids, well, needless to say, I sewed mine down after that. But the bridesmaids wore ponytails, and I was hired to do the bride and several of the bridesmaids, but not all of them. Well, the night before the wedding, the maid of honor called me and asked, could I add somebody else to my schedule to do hair? Why? Because somebody hugged one of the bridesmaids, yanked her ponytail a little bit too much, and it slipped off. So don't let that be you. You know, I think sewing it down does not even take that much more additional effort. It just takes a little time. You're wrapping it around. And you see, sometimes I do 2 times. Sometimes I do 3 times, you know. And if you want it a little bit fuller, a little thicker, you can double the wefts, right? Just like I doubled it when I started sewing it in the back, you can do the same thing with your ponytail. And of course, depending on how thick the person's hair is going to depend on how thick the ponytail looks. But you will not be able to see this braid. Now, sometimes you can feel the braid, but people shouldn't be touching your hair. Remember, keep that thread on the outside and wrap it around. And of course, the biggest thing is making sure the tracks are flat. You see me continuing to, you see how that's twisted up? Yeah, you don't want to put it on like that. You want to flatten it out while you're going around and sew it on down. When she takes this out, she's just going to cut the thread. Okay? She'll cut the thread and the ponytail will come off. Very simple. It's not difficult. And keep going around. I want to thank everybody. I'm not done yet, but just thank everybody for tuning in here, remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I am going live or posting videos. I try to post some type of tip every day about hair and how to care for it. And I go live a couple times a week. So yeah, I mainly talk about hair care, how to achieve certain styles, and how to properly care for your hair. So if you're into that, I'm into that too. Or if you just like watching people do hair, which I like that too. My daughters and I will sit and watch other content creators hair videos. So you see, I'm just working my way up the hair. And I sew it down. And of course you want to add the hair to the natural ponytail because it just gives the half up, half down a little something extra. And it allows it to match the back. You can do this with any type of hair. If you like something a little bit more curly, go for it. Something a little bit more bushy, sleek, straight, add curl, don't add curl, turn up. Really whatever you're into. There's no wrong way. Once I get to around the ponytail band, which I'm almost there, I'll be sewing directly through the band of the ponytail holder. That will just allow it to be more secure. I mean, I said there's no wrong way. It is wrong if you leave it twisted up. It's not gonna be right. It's not gonna look the best as it can. So the biggest thing is with this, wrap, 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 sew. That's it. And make sure the wefts are straight. Okay. So I still have that piece of thread outside of the hair because I am about to go directly through the ponytail holder, and we're going to do that a couple different ways. And this is just going to secure the ponytail at the top. I'll take my handy dandy nippers and cut that piece of thread left. This is what we have left over. And we'll just go through the weft one more time, and then take the thread, go around, and go through, ouch, the ponytail one more time if I can. Yeah. Then we'll cut it. Now we'll just take some of the hair from the back of the ponytail spray it down with some holding spray. And smooth it out. Take your flat iron it straight. This is gonna cover the band of the ponytail. Okay, so we're simply going to wrap that around the ponytail like so. And then we can take some more holding spray, spray it on, close your iron, and go across the band of the ponytail. And or you can do this with a blow dryer as well. And I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll take an open bobby pin like this one, and go through to secure it in place. This is her natural hair here, so let's go through that. She's going to continue to wear the natural wave that it has, but the beautiful thing about this is she is able to curl it, straighten it, because this is body wave hair, right? So this is the ponytail here. You can add a little spray. And I just had the wrap to keep her edges down a little bit. And we're going to take that off so you can see the finished look. And give her a little spray to the front. She can add any kind of bow, cuff, clip to the front. And yeah, we have our half up, half down. Thank you so much. I'm doing good. It's been a long week, but I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share this video, hit your notification bell so you know when I'm going live, and you all have a good weekend and stay safe. All right, good night.